I almost feel like this is too easy for me. This is too this is like slam dunking on a toddler on a trampoline. It's the toddler's first time on a trampoline, and you're over here and you're just going for like the 360 DeAndre Jordan poster just right in the eye hole. Right. This is the sort of thing on this channel I could just sit up there and put this stuff away all day long. Right. This is a tap in. This is 0.99 XG. This is the easiest thing to criticize of all time, because I don't think you'd find one person. I mean, legitimately, I don't think you'd find one person that would defend this. It's just so, dude, seriously, this fly. Like I was saying, I don't think you'd be able to find one person that would defend this, but it's also tied into a particularly insane result that I'd just like to point out. There's one thing that's very important to understand, and that's that Nations League in Europe, nobody really cares about. At the higher levels, it really only matters for, your Nations League D, maybe Nations League C type teams. It's not nearly as important the higher up you go in terms of the player investment and the fan investment and everything. But in CONCACAF, Nations League is the biggest competition. Gold Cup, the way it lines up, a lot of the best players, like i.e. Christian Pulisic, typically doesn't play in the Gold Cup. It's like B and C teams. The Nations League is like, because of where it fits into the schedule, it has become the tournament where every CONCACAF team sends their A team. Right? Every CONCACAF side is going to send their A team, and it is determining who the best team in CONCACAF really is. And we are in the quarterfinals of this tournament, right? All the qualifying stuff is done, and we are now into the quarterfinals before there is a Final Four at like one location, usually in like Texas or something. A nice central point in CONCACAF, okay? And in the quarterfinals, you play a home and away. So this is a huge match. It's a huge draw, and the quarterfinal draw here is Honduras against Mexico. Now, Central American teams, it's very similar to European teams. They all hate each other. There's all a new, unique reason to all hate each other. And the big bad bully on the block is Mexico. Right? Mexico is the big bad wolf in Central America. And if you are a Central American nation, whether it be Panama, Costa Rica, Honduras, Guatemala, right? You want to beat Mexico. And if you do, you're famous. If you do, that is the pinnacle in a lot of ways of what these teams can hope to achieve, is to go out and get a win against Mexico. And Honduras had that opportunity last night. Honduras played at home against Mexico in the first leg of the Nations League quarterfinal, and they had that chance. And boy, did they take it. Celtic player Luis Palma scored the first goal of the match in the 63rd minute. And Honduras was going absolutely insane. Shot from outside the box gets saved by Ochoa. Yes, that Ochoa. And there's Palma. And listen to the crowd on this. And notice the bottles being thrown around, because that's going to become relevant way sooner than it probably should. The crowd's going nuts. I mean, they are going nuts. Here's a post from out of context Honduras. Look at this. Honduras is beating Mexico. And they're not just beating Mexico. They ended up beating them 2-0. Luis Palma scored a shot from outside the box to score 2 goals for Honduras to beat Mexico. Another new low for the Mexican national team, who just really have not been good for a little while now. And a huge high for an Honduras team that hasn't made it to the last couple of World Cups, despite being a World Cup expectant team. Their national team's been down. They haven't had a lot to cheer for. Their qualifying efforts in CONCACAF have not been inspiring. They've actually been quite bad, even by Honduras standards, where they're expected to kind of compete for a spot at the World Cup. They haven't really been able to do that. But now in the Nations League quarterfinal, Honduras has shown life. They've not conceded a goal. They've beaten Mexico 2-0. But that's not why I'm talking about this game. I just bit my tongue. It's not why I'm talking about this game. I wish it was. You can tell. I'm really passionate about Honduras being able to beat Mexico, and I think it's a really cool story. But it is not why I'm talking about this game. Because, no, something Something happened that is just like way too common in football after this match that you almost have to see to believe. Okay, and I'll go ahead and show it to you now because it's the first, like, this is the way that I learned that Honduras had beaten Mexico, right? I was streaming at the time. I'm a part of this Rust Kingdoms server with a bunch of other big streamers. I have no idea how I finagled my way into that. And I wasn't watching the match at the time. And then I see this clip on my timeline. This is the coach of Mexico, Javier Aguirre. And that is a full-ass beer can that just torpedoed the top of his head. Now, a couple of takeaways. First of all, who threw this damn bottle? Pat Mahomes? I mean, good God, that thing was coming in at speed with outrageous accuracy. Absurd throw. So, two things. One, the person that threw it should definitely be arrested. Two, once they get out of jail, they should get a contract in the NFL because holy shit, that was a throw and a half. But also, what are you doing? Because this got bad. I mean, it hit him in the top of the head, and you can instantly see he's starting to bleed. That is a blood spot. And then very quickly, it starts to drip down the side of his head. Okay, he got drilled at the top of the head by a beer can. And I have so many questions, the least important of which, you won. There wasn't controversy. What are you doing? This is the dumbest possible imaginable time to throw a bottle at the head of the coach of the other team. You just won 2-0. There wasn't something weird with stoppage time. There wasn't a bad card, a bad penalty. You won the game. You just got a famous victory. You won 2-0 against Mexico. You've got a real chance to go to Mexico City and knock Mexico out of the Nations League in the quarterfinal. That is fully on the table. And instead of celebrating that, you are trying to decapitate the coach of the Mexican national team. It makes absolutely no sense, right? If you are trying to come to me and logically explain why the hell you've decided to throw this bottle at this point. There are other great, conversation points off of this, like the fact that I think it's perpetually ridiculous that these guys that go on the field and do their jobs are in a serious safety risk. These matches in Central America are dangerous. They're very dangerous. It's very similar to the culture that we've been talking about in Brazil. I've watched the U.S. national team play matches at El Salvador. There's riot police around the entire field for the entire game. There just is. There just has to be. There is no control over what's happening in the stands. And it will never not blow my mind that that's happening. Because it's just, this is just flat out dangerous. This is real nasty work. You can't have people beating the coach of the other team with a bottle, right? You have to be able to control the crowd better than that. You have to be able to keep projecting. You know what they do in the U.S.? I always thought this was a good idea. They don't give out beer cans in a lot of places. They'll give you a little plastic cup. They'll pour the beer out into a plastic cup. You know what happens when you throw a plastic cup? You're more likely to have the wind blow it right back into your face than be able to make it down to the field. Okay? That's a solution. But anything is better than this. Anything is better than this. We live in a modern world. Okay? We live in a modern world where everybody is able to see this stuff in seconds. If you were allowing people to chuck cans on the field in this way, and you're allowing the opposing coach of the other team to walk off the field looking like he just fought in the Battle of Thermopylae, he was number 301, that's not, it's not okay. It's not a good look. Not a good look for CONCACAF. I love talking about how brutal and unbelievable it is to play on the road in all of the places that aren't Europe, basically, whether it be Asia, whether it be Africa, South America, CONCACAF, the crazy environments that you have to play in when you go on the road. But that crazy environment should never branch into the full-on danger. Because there's going to be a point. If people don't heed the warning signs of all the crazy shit that's been happening, is this gets more and more turbocharged, and it gets advertised more and more on the internet, and then people ingest that, and then they do more of that, right? There's going to be something real bad that happens. Fortunately, it looks like Javier Aguirre is okay, probably just needed a few stitches or staples in the top of the head. But the fact that you need that after just managing your team, especially managing your team to a road loss. Like, I can't get over the extra lack of logic when it comes to when this bottle was thrown. It's just, I'm just wild. I'm making this video because this image and the fact that this just happened to a coach of a top 20 national team in the world during a very important quarterfinal in a continental competition, it's insane. If this happened in Europe, they would be shutting down whole countries right now. The rest of the world just kind of accepts it, and that's dangerous because eventually something way worse will happen. It just will.